Hey everyone, it's Carissa. I hope you're having a fabulous day. Today I wanted to share a little sparkle ink blending with Distress inks for you today. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and I'm going to be using the Stack Stars die on both of my projects. I have a couple of different projects today. Both of them have the same concept. This Stack Stars die is from the Simon Says Stamp Among the Stars release. You may remember a similar die with the stacked hearts, and I created a project with that a few weeks back. I'll throw in a card in this video so that you can see that. And I've started out by choosing a stitched rectangle die from Lawn Fawn that's going to kind of frame this Stack Stars die really well. And now it is time to get going on the ink blending. So I have my mini Distress ink cubes here. I have the little foam applicators stored right underneath, so each one has its own foam applicator. You don't have to have a foam applicator for each one of them. I only have a couple of the tools there that hold the foam applicators. You can use one foam applicator for each color family. So you could use one for all your reds, one for all your oranges, and so on and so forth. But I happen to have one for each one. And you can see I'm working the color onto this watercolor cardstock here, kind of rainbow order down to the bottom. Now, I'm not being very careful to blend all this ink together really well. You can see it's pretty splotchy and it doesn't look that fabulous. But nonetheless, I have it all on there. The colors I used were Festive Berries, Spice Marmalade, Mustard Seed, Crushed Olive, and Peacock Feathers. I had the Seedless Preserve pulled out to add a little purple at the bottom, but I didn't have enough room. And then I went back and intensified my green a little bit with the Twisted Citron. So now it's time for the blending part. And for this sparkle blending, I am going to do something really super easy. I'm going to be using this Sukanyeko Sheer Shimmer Sparkle Spritz on this card front. Now, it comes in little bottles and big bottles. I happen to be refilling my small bottle at this point. You want to make sure that you shake this up really well before you use it so that you can get all that sparkle moving throughout so it's not settled on the bottom. And then I'm going to spritz this really generously with that sparkle spritz. Now you can see all the color is starting to move and blend together. There were a couple of areas that I kind of wanted to cheat on, so I grabbed a water brush and kind of pushed a little bit of the color around, but that was only in a couple areas. And be careful when you do that because you can remove some of the colors and create white spots. And after that ink was all blended and looked really lovely, I went ahead and hit it with my heat tool to dry it. So now that it's dry, I wanted to show you the amazing sparkle you get with this Sheer Shimmer Spritz. Do you see all that sparkle? And it's covering the entire piece because I sprayed the entire piece with that Shimmer Spritz. Now you could do something similar with some Perfect Pearl pigment powder and some water mixed up in a little spritzer bottle. However, I feel like the Perfect Pearl kind of dulls your ink colors a little bit. So I love how this doesn't really take away from the vibrant colors of the ink, but it adds tons of sparkle. So now that I have that all dry, I'm going to die cut it with this Stack Stars die. You can see I've put down my precision base plate on the bottom of my cutting sandwich there. That's just going to help me get a really good cut on this intricate die cut. And I've popped out all those little stars over there. And I'm going to put them in a lid and save them for later just in case I want to pop a few back in. Now, I didn't end up using them on this project, but I do have a nice little collection of rainbow stars there that have a little bit of sparkle to them that I can use on other projects. So now I also wanted to add a little bit of dimension to this Stack Stars die cut. So I'm going to add some Stick-It adhesive to some Fun Foam. Now I tried adding the Stick-It adhesive to the Fun Foam and then adding the watercolor cardstock over the top and die cutting that. But with the watercolor cardstock being so thick, I was unable to get a really good cut. So I had to do this in 2 steps. Now, if I would have used regular Neenah 80-pound solar white cardstock, I probably could have cut through all of the layers. In fact, I know I could have. But since the watercolor cardstock's a little bit thicker, I had to do this kind of in layers. Now, I'm also cutting out those Stack Stars from a piece of my favorite American Crafts gold glitter cardstock. And I'm popping out all those center pieces there to save for another project as well. So now that I have my foam piece cut out, I am going to remove the backer on the adhesive. So the adhesive was actually on the front part of this foam piece because I wanted adhesive on there so that I could add my Stack Star watercolored piece over the top of it. So it did take a little bit of effort and a little bit of working to get those all lined up, but I finally have them all lined up, and now I have that beautiful, sparkly, rainbow-colored star die cut there. And I wanted a sentiment that I thought would go really well with it. So I chose this Brilliant die cut. This is actually, I didn't realize it, but it's retired. It's from Simon Says Stamp. But you could also choose any word die that you have in your collection to go along with this. This would make a great birthday card as well. But today I'm just going to make a card that says "You are brilliant." So I've grabbed this Neat and Tangled Sparkle and Shine stamp set, and it has these words "you are" in it. So I've just mounted them onto my clear block. I lined them up on my grid mat first so that I made sure I had really good alignment. And now I'm going to heat emboss this onto some vellum. Now this is my all-time favorite vellum. This is the Essentials by Ellen vellum. It's a really nice heavyweight vellum. I've prepped the surface first with a little EK Success powder tool. Then I stamped it in Versamark ink onto my vellum, added my superfine detail white embossing powder, and then set it with my heat tool. Once that cooled off a little bit, I just took it over to my trimmer and trimmed it down into a little strip. And then I'm going to spritz this Brilliant die cut with that shimmer spritz as well. So I'm just holding it over the top and just giving it a nice little dousing. And when it dried just a bit, I flipped the Brilliant die cut over and added a little bit of two-way glue pen. I wanted to say Tombow Mono Multi Glue. It is not Tombow Mono Multi Glue. It is the Zig two-way glue pen. I added it to the top of that die cut. And now I'm attaching that onto the vellum piece that I embossed earlier. So now it's time to get this card all put together. I cut a piece of Neenah Solar White cardstock out with that stitched rectangle die from Lawn Fawn. And now I'm adding a little bit of multi-medium in the matte finish to the back of this. Now, if I was thinking, which I wasn't thinking, I could have probably added some Stick-It adhesive to the back of this foam as well, but I didn't think that far in advance. So I'm just adding a little multi-medium in the matte finish, putting that onto that stitched rectangle, and then I put a clear block over the top to kind of hold it in place while that glue sets up. So now I have some Shape-N tape. This is the black and white Shape-N tape from We Are Memory Keepers. I love these black and white stripes. And I'm going to actually kind of use this as pattern paper. So I'm just applying it to a piece of Neenah Solar White cardstock. It's a little scrap that I had. And I'm applying it on there so that it has a little more sturdiness and heft to it. And then I took it over to my trimmer and just trimmed that down. So I'm laying that vellum piece over the top here, and I'm just scoring a little piece in it so that I can fold that vellum around to the back of this stitched rectangle. And then I'm going to attach this on with some more of the Zig two-way glue pen. So I'm just dotting that all over that Brilliant word and kind of behind the UR where I've embossed that. And then I'm going to use my grid mat as I put this on to make sure I get it nice and straight across the card. And I'll attach the back of that vellum as well with a little bit of that Zig two-way glue. So now I had this piece left over, and there was all this wonderful rainbow goodness along the side, and I thought it would be fun to bring that into the card once again. So I just took that cardstock, that little scrap piece of cardstock, over to my trimmer. I trimmed down a piece there, and I'm attaching this onto the left-hand side of that card front that I'm creating so that I have a nice little sparkly rainbow pattern paper, or not really pattern paper, but you know what I mean, a little accent there along the side. And then I'm going to add some fun foam behind this card front to give it some dimension. Now, this is the really technical way of doing it. I added a little bit of tape runner adhesive to the back of that card front, added the fun foam, and then just used my scissors to hack off the rest. So now it is time to create the card base. So I have some Neenah Solar White 110-pound cardstock. I am scoring it at 5.5. It's cut to 4 1/4 by 5.5. And then when I started putting this all together, I really felt like the card dimensions were off. So I'm going to take it over to my trimmer and I'm going to trim this down. I'm going to trim some off the top and some off the bottom. You can see I've also attached that Shape-N tape piece along the left-hand side. And then I'm going to add some ATG tape runner adhesive behind this card front and add it on to this little mini card here. Now, I don't know the exact dimensions of this mini card. I just cut it to where it was a little bit bigger than that card front that I created. And now I'm using just a little bit of the multi-medium and the matte finish to add some more sparkle with some sparkling clear sequins, because you know they're my favorite. I added a little mix of the 6mm and the 4mm. Now, I was looking at that and I thought I really wanted to add a little bit more color. So I am taking the largest of the large stitched rectangle dies from Lawn Fawn, and I'm cutting out this piece of candy necklace cardstock from Basil. Now, the proportions were just a little bit off. It's about this rectangle die cuts an A2 size card front. It was just a little too big. The proportions were just a little bit off. So I'm sliding that die down just a little bit to where those stitch lines lock into the stitch lines that are already there. And then I ran it back through my die cut machine again so that it had just a little bit hanging off to where I cut off just a little bit of that stitched rectangle. And the proportions on this were much better. And then I attached that entire card to this piece. So you can see that that makes kind of a little bit different card there, something a little fun and different. So something maybe for you to try at home. Now I'm going to finish off this card by adding a layer of glossy accents over this delicate die cut. Now this is one of my favorite tricks to add a little bit more shine to my card. I love these intricate dies. I love them cut out in black, and I love them with a layer of glossy accents over the top. So now I thought I'd flip on my cell phone light again and try to give you a little peek of that sparkle that's on the top of those stars there. I just love the dimension and this beautiful blended sparkle that you get with those distress inks and the sheer shimmer spritz. Now, I also made another card. Here's a look at that first card that I created. And by the way, you can see more still shots over at my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com, so be sure you head on over there. I made a similar card, but this time I didn't cut out the card front that I created with the sparkle blending of the distress inks. I just used it as a whole card front. And I used that gold glitter stacked stars die cut that I cut out earlier. So this whole background has the sparkle rainbow on it, and it has that sparkle gold glitter cardstock over the top. It has that beautiful shine on the brilliant die cut, and I just love both versions of this. I'm not sure which one is my favorite. So you can decide which one's your favorite. You can leave it in the comments below. Be sure you head on over to my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com, where you can see more still shots and get links to all the supplies used in these projects. And I'll have links to the featured supplies in the description at YouTube. As always, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed these projects. And until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.